and thank you for joining us during the second day. Today we are going to be traveling to Morocco together with Fatima and Saul, who are two of our colleagues in Mathkind. As you know, Mathkind is a nonprofit organization that is in Ecuador, Guatemala, and the United States in the area of teacher training and in the area of math. Fatima is a teacher in primary education in San Andres in Guatemala, and she is also part of the Mathkind team, and she's also working as a math coach. She is a physics, math professor, and she studied education, and she loves the discovery of math in different moments in life, and to be able to learn together with her teachers, her daughter, and other professors. Saul, our other colleague, he also works as a teacher in an elementary school and also as an academic coordinator at a school, also that's primary level, elementary level school. Some time ago, he also joined as a program specialist for MathKind in Guatemala. He's also very happy to be able to include math within our regular life. And it is a great pleasure to be with all of you and to be able to share this presentation. Saul, Fatima, go ahead. Thank you, Manuela, for this welcome to the session. Welcome, colleagues, teachers that are connecting today to our second conference day. We are taking a 360-degree journey through mathematical challenges. Before we begin this journey today, we do want to remind you that during this session, we do want you to be curious. We want to go ahead and take into account different perspectives, to take into account the different cultural and language differences, to also, of course, show respect for yourself and others, and to mute yourself when you're not speaking, which I see you are already doing, and we really appreciate that. And remember that you can use the function of raise your hand whenever you want to go ahead and request to speak when you have an idea to share, as well as when you have any questions to ask. I want to give you the welcome to the story for today. This story is called This One Will Get Your Goat. And for this, we are going to take a great journey. So, our story is the following. So, we are going to be traveling to Morocco, and I'm going to ask a question to all of you. Where is Morocco? Can anybody write where in this map is Morocco located? So, in what continent can you find Morocco?
And I'm going to read here what you write. I see that you're thinking, where is Morocco? You may ask someone if there's someone close to you to write the answer, to share what you're thinking.
Muy bien, tenemos la primera respuesta.
Great. We have the first answer. It's in Africa. Someone asks, Africa? Someone here says, Africa? Mm. Patricia says, Morocco is in Africa in the northeast extreme. or corner. Christian also responds, Africa. Perfect. Excellent. I think we're doing great in geography and we know where we're going. We're going towards Africa. And like Patricia was saying, we're going to go to the north of Africa, east. Now we'll see that we have Morocco. We have highlighted it in red. It's interesting to think in Morocco and it being in Africa. I have actually a question. Where are you? If we visualize where is Morocco, where are you? In which continent? Are you close? Are you far?
Escribírmelo en el chat. Si están cerca o lejos.
You can think about it. You can put it in the chat. Are you close? Are you far?
Estás en Quito, Ecuador, en el continente de América.
Jorge says Quito, Ecuador, in the American continent. We can localize it. We know where America is in Guatemala in Central America. Jenny in North Carolina in the US. Great. We are sharing the same continent. Now we're going to Africa to travel to Morocco. Did you know that Morocco has the capital of Morocco is Rabat? And I'll share a little bit about Morocco. In this area of the north of Morocco, it has a limit uh, over the sea. They border Spain. Do we have someone from Spain here that can tell us that Morocco is close to Morocco, only kilometers away? So they have a cultural diversity between Morocco and Spain within this country. And also, one of the countries, as far as territory, we could talk about Algeria, that is close to Morocco. I can also tell you that in Morocco they have protected areas. They have 10 national parks. They have 19 natural parks. And something that to me is very interesting is to know that they have 8 natural reserves. And now I share with you some images, some photographs about Morocco. Here I have a chat that says Ecuador, American continent, situated over the Ecuadorian line. I live region and the coast, province Manabí, canton or county, Puerto Viejo, parroquia, Rio Chico. So thank you for sharing this very detail. So here we can see the different landscapes of Morocco. We can see part of the ocean, a restaurant, some of their streets, and some of their typical markets. And down at the middle, we see their flag, red with a green star. There is something else that is very important about Morocco's. It's about their flora and fauna that constitutes a very important element within the country. We can see that it has different animal species and plants, and we're going to know today. So I want to talk to you about this black bird. The name is Geronticus eremita. This is the name of this black bird. What other bird looks like this one? It's very interesting. And as we are seeing, I want to test your observation skills because I have this image. I want you to help me Take a look at it. It's a tree, but what else is on this tree? So take 30 seconds, take a look at this tree, the branches, everything that you see. And when you're ready, please write via chat or just open up your mic. Feel free to share what you can see. Take 30 seconds.
Gracias, Cristian. Siluetas de animales.
Thank you, Christian. Christian says silhouettes of animals. Could you be more specific?
Mayra está observando
Oh, Myra says she sees birds. May I say something? Of course, Patricia, go ahead. I can see there's a tree that we know the tree is life and gives life because we see this tree as the nest of many birds, but we also see some kind of felines. I see that in each branch there's like a different animal because at the very top there's like a pigeon, but at the bottom there's like a bird on one side, and on the other side there's like some kind of cat. That's what I'm making out of it. I don't know. Thank you, Patricia. I love what you have said. The tree is life and gives life because of the animals on it. All right. Can we open our mic? Yes, please open your mic if you wish. Of course. There are birds instead of plane, or there are goats. Wow. Someone said animals, but couldn't specify which animals. It was interesting to think that there were other animals besides birds. And today we are discovering that we have goats on the trees. I saw them as like some kind of leopards or some kind of felines because I never saw the horns. Yeah, you made an association, great association actually. I think that some of the animals in the picture when we talked about the fauna, I liked how you thought. I think we don't really imagine to see goats and trees, right? But birds or felines. Um, okay, the anatomy of a bird. I think for this, I'm sorry, of a goat, the anatomy of the goat. Uh, Fatima, what do you know about the anatomy of a goat? Well, thank you, Saul. As you can see, as we can see before, we realized that there were no felines. There were no little cats or leopards, but there were goats. Talking about this, let's going to learn a little bit about the anatomy of the goat's leg. They have a delicate and small leg with flexible ankles, and that gives a lot of mobility. And they have a hoof divided into two toes. It's almost like this. You see, more or less like this is their foot. At the same time, in the inside, they have pads on the underside of their hoof, similar to those who climb, to the shoes of the climbers. They provide some traction so they don't slide as they climb up. This helps them because, as you can see, they are very daring and they just go up and they love to climb trees. Thank you, Saul. Back to you. Oh, well, actually, here we could see what I'm talking about. Goats climb and they live in mountains, high mountains. For instance, we have seen them exploring elevations up to 2,591 meters. You're probably wondering, what are they looking for high up? Why do you think that they are climbing? Can have you wondered why? Please, really quickly in the chat. Why do they dare? Why are they so brave to climb up? Patricia says they're looking for their food. Perfect. Let's explore. Most of them say food. You can see them in this image. And yes, what they're looking for is food. Do you know what kind of food they're looking for? Maybe to escape from a depredator, escape to have for their safety, running away from the safety. And it is true that could be that they are running away. Uh, but does somebody know what goats eat? What do you think they're looking? They could be running away from a predator. We don't know. Somebody said seeds, vegetables, tree leaves from the trees. I see somebody. Interesting. But let me tell you, they are looking for a specific fruit. And it is this one that I love. Within the countries that we live or where you live, have you seen this fruit? Which fruit do you think it is? Or to what fruit does this one look like? You you may open up your mic and give your answer.
En Ecuador dicen por acá, se parece como que si fueran ciruelas.
In Ecuador, they look like mangoes, maybe prunes. In Guatemala, somebody said that it could look like a fig. Somebody said to something called níspero, like a medlar. Somebody said that it looks like a lemon. To granadilla. Yeah, when my mother saw it, she thought maybe it looks like granadilla. But this fruit has a specific name. This fruit has the name of argan. This is the fruit that the goats look for, and that's why they're so brave and they do anything to climb up into this truce of 2,000 and plus meters of height. This is how we could see the argan fruit. That's what it looks like inside. Maybe some say that it looks like a coyol. Patricia, that's right. That is the fruit argan.
Somebody's asking what is a coyol. Yes, we could explore that at a given time. It's actually very similar to the argan. Okay, let's continue on. We do want to tell you the following. We have a friend in common. Last year, he took a great journey, a wonderful vacation a vacation like the kind we're all going to take one day in our lives. And he decided to travel to Morocco. He wanted to learn a little bit about the Moroccan culture and what he could find out. So he traveled with his mom and he told us about a wonderful experience that they had. And they told us all about what happened to them. And today I want to share this with you. And this is experience that they told us about. Next. So when they took this journey to Morocco, Juan, Juan is the name of my friend, well, they noticed that there were a lot of animals, the same as you noticed. They saw goats and birds, and there were some camels. There was a lot of diversity in animals, but specifically what was happening to them is what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to read it to you. So Juan and his mom traveled last year to Morocco, and they found a huge, huge tree. And this huge tree had birds and goats in its branches. So Juan counted a total of 22 goats and birds in total. But his mother counted a total of 64 goat and bird feet. So we want you to help me and let me know how many goats and how many birds were in that tree. You don't have to respond right now, super fast, no. Just take your time. Let's take 2 minutes so that you can all think by yourself. So, what do you think is the response? What happened with Juan and his mom? Because the mom is counting a total of 64 both goat and bird feet, but Juan is counting 22 heads of goat and bird. He didn't say that it was 22 of goat or 22 of bird. He just counted a total of 22 goat and bird heads. So take 2 minutes to think about this and respond. So go ahead and resolve this in your breakout room. Saul, can you help me with that part so you can open up the breakout room while you think about your individual answers?
Foto, igual creo que mi compañero Saúl.
You can take a picture. I think somebody shared the link.
No, todavía no lo ha compartido, ya lo va a compartir. Y vamos a ir a trabajar en grupos pequeños. Vamos a tener
So
para
now we're going to go to a small group work and we're going to have 7 minutes for this. And during that time, you're going to speak within your small group and try to reach an agreement as a group to decide how many goats and how many birds were in that tree. We are going to share a Jamboard like the one that's here on the screen, where it says our solution. We want you to go ahead and jot down your solution. And at this moment, you don't have to pay attention to the one on the right side. We're only going to respond to the one on the left side, and you're going to have 7 minutes for this.
salas, yo necesito que ustedes
Before you go to your breakout, please help me to make sure you know the instructions. So, please tell me what it is that we have to do. Can somebody please confirm? Anybody can unmute and tell me the instructions back so that I can make sure you understood everything clearly.
solo uno, no todos.
Not everybody at the same time, just one. I guess nobody's listening.
Como tú desees.
Do I have to do an equation?
Quiero que me ayuden a rectificar instrucciones y ahí le voy a
But
pedir
before you do the
al
breakout,
micrófono.
since you
Entonces,
went ahead and unmuted,
¿qué vamos a
can
hacer?
you go ahead and explain what we're going to be doing?
Primero hay que plantear el problema,
So first we have to
luego resolverlo,
state the problem and then we have to
despejar
solve
las
it.
incógnitas para poder encontrar
So we
respuestas
have
a la pregunta.
to eliminate all the different doubts so we can find the response to the question. I think somebody raised their hand. Jorge?
Debemos leer el problema en grupo y
So the instructions are that we need to talk as a group and to put the ideas down on the Jamboard in terms of how we could resolve the situation. I do have a question. Does the number of our group correspond to the tab in the Jamboard? Yes, in a moment you are going to be split up according to a different numbered group. And so yes, go to the same number in the Jamboard corresponding to your group. So if you're in group 1, go to the slide 1, 2, 3, 4.
Si pueden escribirnos rapidito en el chat, ¿cuál sería la preferencia de idioma?
Can you please put your language preference in the chat so we know where to send you to? So in the chat, please write down English or Spanish because we don't want to send you to the wrong space.
Hola a todos. Ya volvieron, creo yo. Ya están por acá.
Hi everyone, everyone is here.
Todavía necesitan un poquito
I know that
más de
some of
tiempo.
you need a little bit more of
Algunos están
time.
diciendo, ay, pero entonces, ¿cómo
Some
puedo
are
explicar? Mati
thinking,
nos hizo favor
I kind of,
de compartir su
I
estrategia.
was able to hear Mati
Ellos
was
estaban
nice
escribiendo
enough
del total
to share
de las cabras de las
her
cifras que dice
strategy.
como, bueno,
She's saying that
puede
the
de repente ser
total
11 11 y luego
maybe was
salió
1111 and
una de
then
las patas que le iba a dar
he
ella.
found
Así
out
que algunas
the
todavía
total
están
amount.
como analizando una ecuación.
Some of them were
Pero
analyzing
entonces,
a
¿quién
mathematical
quiere
equation.
ser azteca? Y entonces pude escuchar muchas opiniones.
So I was able to hear different opinions. I know you still need a little bit more of time, and we don't want to let you go without tell you a second option, the extra of what we want to do with our mathematical situation or our mathematical problem. I just want to confirm Saul is here.
¿Quieres que comparte?
Do you want me to share? Do you want to share? You can share, Fatima.
Ok,
I'm on the phone.
no te preocupes. Ok, listo. Espero que me cargue a mí también.
Let me.
Ahora lo que vamos a hacer
What we're going to do.
nosotros
I think we're having some problems with
tomen en
the
cuenta
connection.
otras
I want you to have a moment to take into account this other
Vale, y
indication.
vamos a volver a trabajar en
And for that,
pero
we're going to work on our
ahora vamos a tomar en
rooms, but now we're going to take these
vamos a
options
volver a
into
nuestra sala de
account.
Zoom.
We're going to go
Pero
back to our
hay algo muy
Zoom
importante que
breakout rooms,
queremos
but there
recalcar.
is something very important that we want to
Nosotros
emphasize.
necesitamos que ustedes
We
piensen en
need
sus estudiantes.
you to think of your
Porque no hay
student.
nadie más que ustedes que conocen a
I know nobody
cómo
knows
es que ellos van. Tenemos algunos
their
estudiantes
students more than you and what
que
they
a ellos
do.
se les facilita
We have
terminar
some
como el trabajo
students
súper rápido.
that it's
Pero
easy and
también
can
tenemos
finish the
otros
work
estudiantes
very
a los
quickly, but
cuales
we
les
also know
cuesta
some students can have a hard time
analizar o resolver esta
in
situación
order to
matemática.
solve or to
No hay nada
resolve
más
this
poderoso que lo
mathematical
que
equation.
nosotros queremos
And there
hacer es
is
que todos nuestros
nothing
estudiantes
more
se sientan
important.
parte de
What we
un
want to
problema,
do is for the students to
que
all
ellos
feel
estén
part
identificados y que
of
sepan
the
que
same
todos podemos
problem,
resolver el mismo
that
problema
everybody knows
en la
that they
misma
can
situación matemática,
resolve
que puede
the
tener un grado de
math
dificultad
problem,
o que nos
that
puede
can
costar
have
iniciar
a
un poquito más
certain grade of
dependiendo del grado
difficulty
de
or
conocimiento que
challenge,
tengamos.
depending on
Y para
the
ello quiero que
degree where
pensemos
everybody is. That's why I need you
en dos
to, I need
situaciones.
us to
Una
think of the
podría
two
ser para
situations.
los niños que tengan
Or
el problema
I can go with those kids that finish the problem very fast, or I can go back to help the students that have a bit of a harder time because of the time. And I see my times. I think we're not going to go to the small rooms. I think we're going to do it here. What modification could we do? For instance, what would happen if one of our goats breaks a leg at the moment of getting down from the tree? How would our math situation change? Or perhaps instead of having 22 heads, we have 24 and 6 legs. I want you to take a moment and think about it. In what way you could modify this situation, this mathematical situation, all that information we have obtained from the history. There is something very powerful is this of this allows us to be very flexible and allows us to adapt it to the different needs, to the ones that we have in the classroom, and we want to leave you. We're having some problems with the connection from the origin. How could I make sure for all my students to feel involved, that all my students are immersed in the mathematical situations and that they don't feel, they gave me a different problem. Children do realize and they know which are the kids that finish quickly, and they also know who have a harder time. And we don't want that feeling. We want everyone to feel uh, us apart, that we all know, oh, we worked on the goats, one fell off. For us, a hunter came and shot and all the different birds. We want everyone to be engaged and involved in the situation and in what's happening. Saul, do you want to add anything? Thank you, Fatima. I think it's very important what you were saying and the examples in class because this helps us to feel engaged, involved with our students. It is all part of our class and we need to support them. That also means that we need to be aware to what they're doing, looking, asking questions for what they're doing, and to see what the process is for what they're doing. And I think it's very important to reflect on this as equity and social justice in the classroom. I would like to hear Carlos Morales. Carlos, please join us. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon with everyone. Something very important here about all these math problems in order to involve or engage all children. I have started to work with familiarization of these exercises. I have been trying for the problems to become more real. For instance, in this situation that I spoke about the birds and the goats, for instance, since we're not in the field, for instance, for the students, we do a simulation with them. Who are the goats? Who are the birds? And to continue giving the characteristics, because one of the problems that we have in maths and the solution is that it's hard to understand it. You don't conceptualize it. So there are difficulties that I've noticed, and that's why when I try or when I treat with these problems, I try to make them as real as possible. So I think that's the case. It's trying to see how to engage the students in the problem. I think that is one of the things that I feel I can add here. Thank you. Thank you for the support, and it's very important. In this activity, you could also reflect on how to bring it to the context of children. You could speak about a farm, you could change the animals, and you could keep them engaged and thinking in their environment and do a comparison between what happens in Morocco. We also have another hand, Patricia. We would love to hear your ideas about this reflection.
Sí, bueno, yo tuve también la experiencia este año en décimo, porque yo trabajo con básica superior en matemáticas,
I had the
trabajar
experience
este
in
tipo
10th
de
grade,
problemas
and I
con
worked with them
el
these
sistema
types
de
of word
ecuaciones lineales
problems, and I did it
con
with
diferentes
linear
métodos
equations,
que hay.
applying the different
Los
methodologies.
métodos que a
So
mis estudiantes les gustaron más fueron el método de
we
igualación y el método
actually
de
liked
resumen.
the different grammar
Entonces,
equation
aquí
was the one that my students liked
lo
the most,
que me baso en lo que dijo el
and
compañero
that
Carlos
is
es
something that I
que
agree with Carlos about. So the important thing is to really
a que
involve the
aprenda
students so that they can really learn,
traducir el lenguaje normal
so that they can
al
learn to
lenguaje
translate
complejo.
the regular
Esa
language into algebraic
esa
language.
parte
Because
no
if they do not
pueden
learn this part,
resolverlo
then they
un
cannot
problema
really
de geometría
resolve
cotidiana.
any problem of
Nosotros
daily life.
trabajamos algo similar
So we try to do something
basándonos en
similar,
empresas con
basing
productos
ourselves, for
como
example,
brócoli,
like in
coliflor,
businesses, and
o
we
donde
do
trabajo que es
examples
una
with
zona rural,
broccoli or cauliflower. And I
cosechamos
work in a rural area
maíz,
where there's a lot of
trabajamos
corn
afrejo.
and
Entonces
different types of beans,
cambiamos
legumes.
el nombre al problema de
So I would
agricultura
just
y lo
change the
involucramos
word
en
problem and I would convert that
vegetales.
word problem into, like, let's
Exacto,
say,
lo
a
hacemos ahí
vegetable.
mismo en el sector
Perhaps vegetables
agropecuario.
that really grow in this area
Entonces,
that we live in. So
creo que de pronto no abarqué otras temáticas, pero lo que fue sistema de ecuaciones me
it,
dejó muy
perhaps I
satisfecha
didn't
porque
cover all of the areas,
fueron
but
temas
I
de
really
Pitágoras que
like
trabajé
the
con ellos, que
Pythagoras
fueron
theorem that we worked
temas
with them, and
que creo que los
that was a topic
estudiantes
that really they
lo
enjoyed, and
resolvían con mucha
they were able
fluidez
to
y
really
rapidez.
resolve them quite
Es lo que
quickly
puedo decir.
and quite fluidly.
Gracias, Patricia, por el aporte.
Thank you,
Recuerden, están estas
Patricia.
historias de matemática para que ustedes las exploren, las hagan
So
suyas
yes,
y les ayuden
these
a sus ciudadanos
stories,
que
the
las
whole point
exploren
is
en
for you
todos
to
los
make
sentidos,
them
no solo
yours,
en
for
conceptos
you to explore
matemáticos,
them
sino cómo
fully,
pueden
and not
los
just
estudiantes
explore
a
sort
través
of the
de esta
mathematical
historia
concepts, but how
conectar
to
muchas situaciones de
allow for
conocimientos
your
a
students to be able to
necesidades de
connect to
realidad,
different
a
concepts
lo
in
que
terms
ese
of
campo también quiere
social
que
justice and
podamos
equity.
tener
I
un
think Pao
conecte
maybe has another
para
contribution
todos en esta sesión. Adelante,
for all of us. So go ahead, Pao. I just wanted to mention that when we were discussing this in my group, it was very interesting that we had children nearby, so we were able to see the different dynamic between the way adults do it and children do it. So in my case, I had my child nearby, and it's not really sort of, he's not at the level to be able to respond to questions yet. And like Fatima said, how can we convert this into a problem that can be the same problem, but that it can be done at different levels and different ages? So what happened in my group is that my child had used a different kind of method, and so he started just playing around with sort of different numbers and try to guessing or testing the different options. And then Margarita was talking about how to do a good representation, maybe like an image with two legs, an image with four legs. So I like the idea that the same problem or the same context of what Carlos was talking about, right? Like to really apply it to your real life, then you can take a good word problem and apply it at different levels, from advanced Kramer method to like drawing like a little circle with two lines, and there's my bird, and a circle with four legs, and that's my goat, and then just to use more like little pictures as representations. So that's the key, how you can take a math problem and then have like a low floor and high ceiling, which means that anybody can solve it regardless of their level. But the ones that are going faster, then they can think of, oh, what if? What if the problem is more complex? What if we say that one of the animals has one leg less because they hurt themselves. So anyways, I wanted to share the experience of what happened in our breakout room.
Excelente, Pau. Gracias por el aporte y los ejemplos que nos ayudan.
Thank you, Pau. Thank you for the examples. That really helps us to be able to expand their ideas and to also focus them. And also in terms of the example that he gave us, the different grades. Let's go ahead and give the word to Margarita, who has something to share, and then we will close the session. So what Paola was mentioning, so it's something quite simple and for example, the designing of the different circles like heads, so I have 22 heads, that's 22 circles, and then to each one of them I'm going to put two legs because that's the minimum that they can have. So then I would have 44 legs. 2 times 22. Oh, but there's more legs. So then I can start adding 2 legs, 2 legs, 2 legs, 2 legs, until I get to 64 total. And then graphically, you can clearly see how many circles have 4 legs and how many circles have only 2 legs. So you do not need to do an equation, but you need to have clarity in terms of the relation of the different variables. And that's something you can start developing at a very early age.
Gracias, Margarita. Bueno, yo creo que algo que también debemos de tomar en
Thank
cuenta.
you, Margarita. Something else to also keep in mind with everything that you're sharing in terms of everything that you discussed. And it's really important to have this mathematical dialogue. And basically, we're looking for challenges, and the challenges don't have to be the hardest. They don't have to be the hardest because they have a lot of questions or the highest numbers. But like Margarita was saying, from something very simple, we can adapt it to the different levels, depending on what we want them to learn and what we want them to do. So that is something that I wanted to make sure I highlighted during this session. Okay, I think the breakout activity has been quite good. You were able to share all of your experiences. And I also wanted to let you know that we're going to have an exit ticket. And this exit ticket is another reflection that we're asking you to do. Fatima, could you please share this part? Could you please share on the screen what we're going to have to do as our exit ticket?
Voy a empezar a hacer.
Puedo compartirlo yo si lo necesitas, Fatima.
Fatima, I can also share it if you need me to. Thank you.
Muy bien. Entonces, esta tarde tenemos un boleto de salida.
Very well. So we have an exit ticket this afternoon, which is a reflection of what we have discussed today.
Quiero que observen, seguimos con los árboles, solo que ahora no vamos a ver cabras.
We are continuing with the trees, but we have little humans, or I guess what they call a blob. So please look at each one of them and look at the number that they have and look at what they're doing in the tree. So they can represent each one of us. And at this moment, I would like you to select one of these blobs, one of these little humans. Basically, choose the blob that you identify with today after today's session and explain why you chose it. For example, I would choose number 3 because during this session, I felt supported by everybody and by the entire team. And that allows us to continue to climb and to go up, just to give you an example. So think again, which blob you identify yourself with today. Maybe you identify like the 10 or 11, because we were able to connect to our new colleagues and we feel connected sharing new ideas. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to look at the tree with the blobs and please select one. In order to share which one you have selected, please go ahead and put it in the chat or you can also unmute and share out loud.
Hola, buenas tardes, ¿puedo dar
Hola.
mi pitch?
Hello. Yes, go ahead.
Gracias. Bueno, durante esta sesión me siento como el número 5.
During this session, I feel like number 5 because I'm having some difficult time with the internet and I had to find some internet with my neighbor's house and so I feel like I'm just hanging out here. So I'm trying to like reach to have a real understanding in order to be able to really have clarity on something on this issue specifically. So for this session, I would say I'm number 5. Thank you.
Gracias, Soraya. Patricia, con gusto te
Thank
escuchamos.
you, Soraya. Patricia, go ahead.
Yo me identifiqué con dos.
I would identify with number
Voy a
2.
decir el primero. Me identifiqué con el 10
I
y el 11.
identify, well, I would identify with 10 and 11
En esta sala
because
no me sentí
during
sola porque
this
ya
space,
conocía a Pao,
I
ya
did not feel
conocía a
alone because I already knew Pao and
y de
Saul,
pronto otros
so I
compañeros
wasn't alone.
que cuando ponen la pantalla de todos los que estamos participando, pues ya hemos participado en otras
And then when
experiencias
when people can turn on their
y
camera and
me
I see their
sentí
faces,
acompañada.
I have
Y
also
me
recognized some
identifiqué con el
faces
2
from
y el
before,
3
so I feel like
porque
I'm not
son
alone and I'm very well accompanied.
experiencias la que nos enriquecen de conocimientos
I feel like these
y
type of
nos
sessions
vamos
really enrich
aprendiendo
us
el uno al
and
otro.
that we're always
Quiere
learning
decir,
from
vamos
each other.
escalando en conjunto. Por
So
eso
I
me
feel like 2
identifiqué
and
con el
3
2
in
y
that
el 3,
respect
porque
because
puede que
we're
lo que yo
climbing
pensé
together.
le sirva
So
de
maybe
ejemplo a
the
otros
things that I
compañeros
know can be an
y
example to
lo que
somebody
hayan
else,
expresado otros compañeros me
and
va
the
a
comments
servir
that
como
other
herramienta
people
para el
make, that is
desempeño de
also a
clases.
tool for
Eso
me
es
that I
muy
can apply it
importante.
in my classroom. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Gracias, Patricia. Me ha gustado mucho lo que has compartido.
Patricia, I liked what you shared very much, and I think that it's really important. I think in the chat there's a couple of comments. I am going to read the one from Pato. Pato says he feels like number 1 because by the time that he got here, everybody was already in the tree. Well, we invite you so you can then join and be number 2 and number 3. Somebody here put that they identified as 2 and 3 because they're supporting each other and working as a team. And Malva is saying, I feel like number 13 because I'm thinking of the different strategies that I can apply with my students. Thank you, Melva.
En el transcurso de este viaje con esta
I would
sesión,
think that in this journey, we are going to make sure that Melva's not going to feel like 13. She's going to feel like number 2 or 3, and then we're going to be like 10, 11, and then we're always going to arrive at number 14. A couple of folks raised their hands, so I'm not sure what the order is. Like, who raised their hand first?
En mi
por bajar
caso,
la mano.
me casa, Saúl, lo que te quería era anotar que hay un comentario, otro
Saul, I
compañero.
wanted to mention that there's another comment in the chat.
Considero que estaba reflexionando sobre todas las cosas que estaban mencionando.
He said that he believes that he's more like 13 and he's basically taking into consideration everything that's being discussed today. It is so interesting because we can have so many different points of view from one image, and I love that because we can share with each other, and that is the purpose of having a space like this with everybody. I want to let you know that we have gotten to the end of this session. I am very happy to have been able to share this with you and that we have been able to take this 360-degree journey together. The journey is going to continue. We're only going to pause and then we're going to have another session. So I hope to see you in a bit at 3:30 so we can continue on this journey, continue learning, continue supporting each other. And we thank you so much for being in this session together. And I did want to let you know that this story was written by Jenny, who's part of the Math Kind team. And thank you for writing this lovely story that has led us to so much dialogue and reflection during this second session today for this conference. Patricia, do you want to add anything more?
Bueno,
I did have a question,
yo no me
Saul.
pude conectar porque tuve
Yesterday, I was
problemas
not able to connect
y llegué
because
ahorita
I had some power
entonces
issues,
no
internet
había tenido
issues,
acceso
so
a
I did not
poder
have
tener
access
participación. Mi
to the
pregunta
session. I
es,
wasn't able to
al no
participate.
haber
So my question
ya
is,
no tengo
because I was not able to
la
connect yesterday,
participación,
will I be able to
tengo
still get a
que ver los
certificate,
videos, tengo
or
que
do I
hacer
have to
algo
sort
más
of
o no
do the
lo estoy viendo por
videos
medio de los
or do some activities? Can
Ah,
you
ok,
help me with
ok,
that?
espera, me gusta la pregunta. Sí, recuerden que podemos participar de forma sincrónica también de esta conferencia. Ya van a estar habilitadas las grabaciones para que quienes no pudieron estar en este momento puedan ver las grabaciones. Y recordemos que tenemos también en nuestra plataforma Participate toda la información de las sesiones. Ahí van a encontrar
All the information for the session. You will find the name of the session, who facilitated, and you can find the resources that were used within this. You're going to find the recording and you can read the requirements to get the badge. We have the conferences for days. We are on our second day. So you will find the resources that are very important. You can write to us so we can give you the support. I know you're all registered in Participate where you can explore. And for instance, you can come to the discussion within Participate so that you can join us and write when we'll all be able to read what didn't come to mind in this session. But when finished, we may have ideas. So we may go to this Participate discussion forums in order to add you.
Saúl, creo que lo pediste, pero no estoy seguro.
Can you share a screen? Of course, Val. I think it's great.
Correcto, gracias, Pau.
Thank you, Pau. So here in Participate, we just had a session called it's Crazy Story as a Goat. We had the link that we have to enter in the resources aspect in the Jamboard, the links to the stories, because you will find the version in Spanish and in English for the sheet. And now we have the space to share your ideas where you can join me and write more reflection of what we went through in this session. Thank you, Pau. Answering your question, and for everyone that have missed a session, where you have the link, you have the recording. So if you missed a session from yesterday, for instance, I gave one here. We still have the sessions link, and here we have the recording so that you can even up, catch up, and participate. Some sessions have the way of validating your participation is answering these questions. Once you see it, you can participate this way after you see all the recording or the needed recording to earn your certification. Go to the end and leave your information in order to get your badge. All the details are within the courses. Manuela shared in the chat. Take your time to review each session and don't worry if you had internet or schedule problems. We understand this can happen. So uh, everything is synchronized.
Gracias, Pau. Entonces,
Thank you,
Fatima,
Pau.
estás por aquí.
Fatima,
¿Quisieras
if you're
agregar algo
around,
más
would
para
you like to
finalizar
add the
esta
last
sesión?
part for this session?
Sí, bueno, más que todo solo agradecer
Thank
el
you. More than
espacio,
anything, is thanking you for your time, for being here with us.
gratificante para nosotros,
It is
agradezco por
very,
compartirme con mi
very
hermanito, me
nice
siento
for
como que se
us
cayó del árbol.
to
Saúl,
share with all of you.
tuvimos muchas fallas en
Saul,
internet,
and
muchísimas,
I had a lot of internet, a lot of
pero he
connection
disfrutado de esta
difficulties,
historia
but I
tanto como
hope
nosotros
you have
y gracias a todos
enjoyed
y cada
this
uno de
story as
ustedes
much as we
por
have, and thank you so
escucharnos
much
y
for
por hacer este
sharing your
espacio,
idea,
por tomarse el
for
tiempo
listening to us, and
y
for taking the time. We have some connection issues.
principalmente para los que todavía estamos como docentes y agradezco tanto,
And
tanto
for those of us who are
compartir
in
con nosotros
teaching,
y pues vamos
thank you
a
so
empezar a
much. And
sentirnos
thank you so much
pensando en todas las
for
estrategias
being
posibles
here. And
para
let's think
entonces
about all the
agradezco su
strategies
tiempo
that we can
y
apply.
pues
Thank you
cada
for
uno
your
nos vemos
time.
en la siguiente
And
y la semana
thank
que viene
you
vamos a
each.
hacer otro viaje.
We're going to do another journey. The next one starts at 5. The one from Venezuela?
A las 5 para ustedes,
At
sí.
5 your time. 5 in Ecuador, 4 in Guatemala,
4
at 6 in the East
Listo,
Coast of the
bueno,
United
muchísimas
States.
gracias. Bueno, nosotros acá los docentes de la costa
Thank you so
finalizamos
much,
nuestras,
the
ya
teachers at the
terminó
coast.
nuestro año lectivo,
Yesterday,
estamos de
our
vacaciones
year
y bueno,
ended. We
para
started
mí
holidays today,
es
and
un
for
gusto
me,
haberlas
it's
comenzado con
great
esta
to be
capacitación
able to have start my
previa
holidays with
al
this
nuevo
training
año lectivo.
to feel renewed to the new
Wow,
uh,
qué excelentes
period,
vacaciones.
new year.
Entonces,
Happy holidays then.
mucho.
Have a great rest.
bueno,
Thank
nos
you.
vemos en un momento en nuestra
See
siguiente
you in a
historia.
while in our next story.